Felt like recording this video today. So currently in Japan, Osaka. Now that I'm here, I feel like recording this update video. If you've watched any of the older videos on my YouTube channel, you'll notice that I had some about like being neurodivergent, and I talked about that. And so some people who've watched them, they've said like they would be interested in hearing more of an update on that, on how that's going, because I haven't really talked about it since then. So that's what I felt like doing today. So I just sat down in the hotel room here in Osaka to record my update. So specifically, someone said it would be nice to hear how I've evolved and how my life has improved since embracing neurodivergence. So for anyone who doesn't know, I was diagnosed in 2021 as autistic with the side of ADHD. And so since then, I've started bookkeeping business. I made decisions after that diagnosis that have affected how my life has been up to this point. So how I've evolved, I would say the biggest change, more of understanding better how I work. So like figuring out that I was ADHD, because I was the one who initiated the diagnosis process, because I just wanted to know from an expert standpoint, like, what do you think? And I did talk a little bit about that diagnosis process in like a different video I posted previously, talking about that. I was a guest on the podcast Ambitious Bookkeeper, and we talked about my diagnosis process and how that went on there. So if you want to hear more about that, that's in that video. But I initiate the process, and then I spent a lot of time just learning about like, what does that mean? How does my brain work? Figuring out better how my brain works and how I work. I feel like it helped me just be more present more of the time. So I would say that's the biggest change in how I've evolved. Like before, I was depressed all the time. I would look that up constantly. Like, am I depressed? Because I never felt like so depressed that I could be diagnosed as clinically depressed. But just I looked up the term, I believe it was like dysthymia, where you're just like low-grade depression all the time. So you're still functional, you're not like super depressed, but you just don't really feel much that's positive. So that's how I used to be all the time. So I would say since getting the diagnosis and learning more about how I work, I feel like that depression just went away. Like that low grade one. Now I would still get depressive episodes because I was still figuring out like my emotions and how to notice that I was like starting to crash before it was too late, because I was not in tune with my body. I wouldn't be able to tell that I was like hitting a crash point until I was already almost there, and there was no way to prevent it. So now I'm more in tune with my body, my emotions, how I'm feeling. And a good example is today we were going to a tourist site, and we had bought one of those like tourist passes that you can get online. And with the pass, you have to scan a QR code to like go onto the metro, ride the metro for free, because the price of the metro is included in the pass. And I was just feeling this like, I realized I was feeling anxious about it like before, because even though I looked up how to use it, they had a PDF guide on like what it looks like and what to do. But since I hadn't done it yet, I was anxious because it was just a new thing, and that's just as how I am. But before I do something for the first time, just have this like anxious, nervous energy, and I know like the only way to relieve it, even with all the prep, is just to like go do it. So I recognized that this morning, and previously, before I probably wouldn't have recognized it, and either would have disconnected from my body, so it was just be all in my head, and then just be cranky for no reason, because I used to just describe myself as irritated all the time. Like, I'm just always irritated, and that was part of what prompted the diagnosis, because I'm pretty sure I was burnt out. I had work burnout because I worked as an interpreter, and so I would just be in other people's situations and like their problems. I would see it all the time. So you can get what's called, I believe it's secondhand trauma, where you're just seeing other people's problems so much that they affect you too, because you're there and you're seeing it and you're human. So I was just irritated all the time before. But now I can tune with my body. I can recognize like, oh, I'm getting anxious. Like, let me just realize that and give myself some extra space And then once we like went to the subway and I scanned the QR code, yeah, we had a little trouble, but it was fine. There was other people there also trying to figure it out. So I scanned it, we went through, it was fine. And then after that, I felt like all that anxious energy like just dissipate. It was gone. And I was fine. I was all happy, like, yay, I did it. And I knew I could do it. It was just, I hadn't done it yet. And anyway, that's an example of what I mean. Like, I notice my emotions more and my body, and I can identify what's going on better than I used to. So that's one big change. And since I can identify it, I'm not misdirecting it at other people. I can give myself grace. I can let other people know, like, hey, I need a minute because I'm a little overwhelmed right now. Like, it's easier to do that now. So the second thing I would say is I used to do things because I thought I was supposed to do them. But now I don't do that anymore. So what I mean by that is before I was really trying to figure out just social stuff. Like, people don't make sense. And even if you tell people why they don't make sense, they don't really get it. So I've just spent a lot of time trying to figure out why people do what they do, what are they doing, and I would just do things because I thought I was supposed to do them. Like, let me think of an example. Like, if friends wanted to hang out and go somewhere, and even though I didn't want to go, like maybe I'd rather stay home and read, but I felt like, well, I'm a teenager, I'm supposed to go out with people, like, this is what teenagers do, I guess. So I would just go. So just doing things I don't really want to do, and then trying to act like I was enjoying it, or maybe I was just wrong for not wanting to go. And it was never bad stuff. Like, I've always been pretty firm. Like, if I don't want to do something, I'm not gonna go do it. But if it's something that's not obviously bad, like, let's go out to eat, and then after we go out to eat, we're gonna go to another place to go eat. And then after that place, we're gonna go get a coffee. And even though I only agreed to like what I thought was gonna be like maybe a 1 hour hangout, and it turns to be like this all day spending a bunch of money at different places thing, I would just go along with it because I didn't really know like how to get out of it, or even if I should get out of it because I'm supposed to try to make friends. So yeah, I did a lot of things I didn't really want to do, and now I just don't do that anymore. Like, if I don't want to do it, I'm just not gonna go. And weirdly, things work out better for me this way, actually, because I thought like, oh, if I do that, like, no one's gonna want to hang out with me or talk to me, and I'm not gonna have any connections with people. But for, I would say, like, that year of diagnosis, like that first year, where I kind of did that. Like, I just stopped going to stuff I didn't want to go to. I said no more than I said yes. And I actually have people start reaching out to me. Whereas before, I felt like I was always trying to reach out to other people and connect and, like, try to make friends. And then after diagnosis, I was like, you know what? I'm saying no to stuff I don't want to go do anymore. And then people, and I feel like I was home a lot more willingly that year or so after. And people just randomly would text me or call me. I actually had other people who like either suspected they were autistic too, or like came across someone autistic. They would just randomly text me and be like, hey, and then tell me about it. So I actually had a lot more contact with people when I started saying no. And that was really funny. It still happens. It's still really funny. Like, I have a business, and I would say all my best networking is like online, where I don't even leave the house. It's just on video calls. And I feel like I just get more out of that than when I do try to leave. But maybe that's a different topic. So I don't do things I don't want to do anymore. This third one is kind of related to the second point. And I tried to summarize what I mean by it, but I used to be more stuck on things making sense with how the world works, with social rules, which is how people work. So I used to be really stuck on like, it needs to make sense. And yeah, it needs to make sense. That's the clearest way to put it. And then I'll contrast it, and this might make more sense. But now I less feel that things need to make sense, and it's more like things need to make sense in a certain context, almost like a game. So like the rules of Uno make sense when you're playing Uno, but they don't apply to when you're playing like spades. They're totally different games. So it's kind of how I view things now. Like, it's just a certain game. So in this context, this is a game people are playing, and it makes sense because that's just how it works in this context. And then when you leave that context, then those rules are probably not going to apply to a new one because it's a different game. So it's kind of how I view things now. And I feel like it makes things easier. So I'm trying to think of a good, so a really good example of this is sitting on the floor, which I'm doing right now. But in the US, sitting on the floor is weird. Like, people don't do that. And so if you say that you do, it's just weird. It sticks out. It's like this strange behavior. But if you travel to like Asia, other cultures, sitting on the floor is just a normal everyday activity that people just do. Like sitting on the couches is in the US. So that's a good example. Like it's less like this thing is weird, and it's more like in this context this thing is weird, but in this context it's normal. So that's how I view the world now, and that makes things so much easier because I don't have to like that rigid thinking people say is common in autistics. I feel like I don't have that as much because of this perspective on the world. Plus I've always been like interested in other cultures, interested in learning languages, and languages is the same because languages are similar to games. They have certain rules, and so in this language this is the rule, this is the way you say it. Like, that just makes sense. So I just apply that perspective to like life now. That was number 3. I'm less stuck on things being a certain way and more flexible and recognizing that there's context for why certain things are the way they are. Number 4, I used to not trust myself and now I have more self-trust. And this one's probably related to the not doing things I don't want to do anymore. But I used to basically need external validation that I was on the right track. And it wasn't so much that I thought I was wrong back then, but I just wasn't sure. Like, maybe I'm saying this wrong. I just wanted that external, like, yes, you're on the right track, external validation. Now, after a lot of that, getting back into my body, a lot of journaling, a lot of emotion tracking, like I literally had like a journal, but you could color in your feelings for the day. Like, I think it was like morning, afternoon, and night, if I remember this right. But just emotion tracking, then a lot of writing, so which is separate from journaling because I had a blog and I would write on there too, so that was more public writing. And then just a lot of talking to whoever would listen to me just ramble on. But that helped me realize that I generally knew what to do. It was just letting me listen to that, and so cultivating that self-trust. And being able to recognize when if someone was giving me advice, like maybe it wasn't the best advice or it was even bad advice. But before, I used to think like, well, I should take it anyway because maybe I'm just totally wrong and they know better than me, especially if they're older, more experienced in this area. And now I recognize like, okay, yeah, that might be true. They're older, they're more experienced, but they are not me. So I've gotten good at being able to take what can work for me. Example, like a hair tutorial. I can take what will work for me because I know my hair and then throw out what I know it's not going to work. So I'm a lot better about that. And I did do a video about that too, actually, how to make someone's template work for you. Number 4 was more self-trust now. And then number 5 is giving myself more space and more slack, more understanding. Before, I wouldn't do that. I would think like, I just need to get this, I just need to learn it, and ignore any. If I just needed more space, like now I just recognize like I need a lot more space and time. I always need to like slow down the world a lot to like really be present, to like really learn things. And that's just really hard to do when other people are around because I don't think they understand like how much I need to slow it down. But it's really hard to share that because then people just assume you're slow, and that's not it. It's that for me to go fast, I need to go slow first. Actually, this trip is a really good example of just traveling. I used to feel like before, you have to like when you travel, you have to go hard and like day one, just do a bunch of stuff, be out all day. But like for this trip and any other trips we've done, like day 1, we got here, it was nighttime, we just came to the hotel, rested and slept. The next day, slept in, got up, eventually made our way out to do one thing. We went to one place. And then that was it, came back. And we were back before like 6 p.m. So just taking more time, taking it slow. recognizing when I'm overstimulated and I need like some more slow down time. And even if it feels like I'm going so slow all the time and I still feel overstimulated, not getting frustrated with myself and just letting myself have that time, because if I don't do it, then it just all builds up and then I'm still frustrated. It's like I can take my time and eventually get some things done, or try to do everything and then crash and then get frustrated, and then that's just not good. Like nothing gets done in the long run. So real consistency is over time. And so maybe like day by day it might feel like it's really slow, but like over a year, that's a lot you've gotten done if you just give yourself the time. So that's number 5, just giving myself more space now. I feel like I'm still like in the middle of things improving and changing, but compared to like when I first got diagnosed, things have improved. So those are updates on how I'd say my life has changed. So it's just learning more about how I work as a person and just getting more in tune with how I am as a person. And I'll say things are still like, I feel like I'm still in the middle of the story. Like, you know, things are still happening, but this was pretty good to like look back and see what has already happened and how that all really started like in 2021. So yeah, so that's it. Yeah, thanks for watching this if you're still here. And yeah,